Hey everybody, Mrs. Norris here. So today I'm going to walk you through our Learn by Doing Google Docs activity, lesson 2.2, peanut butter brownies. And in this activity, we will be learning how to format lists. So let's look at the overview first. Kind of set the scene for what we're doing today. One of the first things you must learn in a culinary class is how to properly read a recipe. When reviewing your latest recipe, you decide to use your formatting skills to make it easier to follow. So here are the new skills that we'll be learning. For some of you, it might be review, and so this will be easy. For others, this might be a completely new thing. So we're going to change line spacing. We're going to use a bulleted list, use a numbered list, adjust our line spacing, align our text, use word count, and use select all. So we'll be naming our document today with our first and last name and then lesson 2.2. Here is the text that we need to copy into our Google document to actually complete the task. So the steps for completing the assignment, either you are working with Mrs. Norris right now one-on-one, or you are watching this tutorial to complete those steps. You'll be submitting your work as a PDF through Canvas. So let's get started. So we'll begin by going to our Google Drive. Now, I think it's easiest for us if we, again, split our screen. I try to encourage you guys to do that as much as possible. So I'm going to do that now. Watch me first and then do it yourself. So I'm going to move this tab to outside of my main window, and then I'm going to minimize it by either clicking and dragging, or if I have the Dualist, if you were able to install Dualist, you can use that. Okay, so I'm going to click and drag my first one, and then click and drag my second one. And what this is going to allow me to do is I'm going to be able to see the text that I'm supposed to be typing. I can watch this tutorial while working in my second window. Sorry about the noise, guys. Okay, so now let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open our Norris 2020 file folder. So I'm going to double click. And then this is a Google Doc. So we're going to open our My Docs folder. Okay, and you can see where we have started our work. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a new, not a new folder. I don't know why it said that. There we go. A new doc, and it can just be a blank document. So again, just to show you one more time, new, not new folder. Why does it keep doing that? New doc, blank document. And we're going to name it as it says here. So okay, now there's some new feature here. It looks like where I can to mention somebody. I don't need to do any of that. So what I am going to do is I'm going to copy what I see here into my document here. So peanut butter brownies. Okay. Return ingredients. Okay. Return. Now I'm going to do 1/2, and it may automatically change it to half. That's okay. That's what I'm using anyway. So the document will automatically change your portioned into halves or quarters or whatever. You just keep typing. So cup peanut butter, turn. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pause my video. You pause yours as well and continue typing the rest of this, and then we'll join back together and finish the rest of this activity. All right, so at this point, you should have finished typing the rest of your document as it shows in our example on Canvas. Now, what I want you to know is that the word bake is on a new line. So the rest of our paragraph is on its own line, and that's going to come into play later. So please make sure that if you've got bake up here, that you hit return so that it's on its new line, okay? Because again, it is going to be a new paragraph and we're going to show that in the way that we do our spacing. Okay, so now if you're watching this tutorial here, you should just be watching the tutorial because again, either for actually completing the task, you're working alongside Mrs. Norris, or you're watching this tutorial to complete the steps before turning in the final product, because just typing this is not our final product. We still have to do all those new things those new skills that were on our list. Okay. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to change our line spacing. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to sorry, I lost track of what I was doing right now. We are going to select the heading, so ingredients and peanut butter brownies. Actually, I'm sorry, ingredients and the list of ingredients. So again, we're selecting ingredients and the list of ingredients. So if you remember, we click and drag, okay? And we want to make these 1.5 space. Now, I'm going to make my window just a little bit bigger. If you can't see where your spacing toolbar is, if you click on the More button, which is the 3 ellipses, you can get to your spacing. So our spacing is the one that looks like it's got 2 arrows. If I hover over it, it will say line spacing. So I'm going to click and I'm going to select 1.5. So again, if you don't see your line spacing, you can just click on the 3 dots. We're doing from ingredients down to 1/4 tablespoon of salt. More, if I need to, line spacing 1.5. Okay. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to use a bulleted list. Again, some of this might be review for most of you. For others of you, this might be a new skill, so that's why we're doing it. If you already know how, then great, you're ahead of the curve. Okay, so we're going to select our list of ingredients. Sorry about that, guys. I can't control the people that are outside, so I apologize. Okay, so we're gonna select our list of ingredients. Okay, just the list of ingredients, not the word ingredients, just the list of ingredients, and we're gonna make it a bulleted list. So again, I didn't have it before, so I needed to make sure I clicked on More, and then my bulleted list is right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and bullet list. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to number list. And this is why it was important that bake was on a new line. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to select the directions underneath the word directions. So again, if you can see, I'm not selecting the word directions up here. I didn't select the word ingredients. Okay, so I'm not selecting the word directions. I'm just selecting from preheat down to squares. Okay, just like that. Now what I want to do is I want to use a numbered list for this. So I'm going to go to my numbered list, and you can see I have 2. So you know that you did this correctly if you have 2 as your number of directions. So again, you should have 2 as your number of directions. Okay, that's how you know if you did this correctly. So just to show you again really quickly, I selected from preheat down to squares, and then I went to my numbered list and I just clicked. Okay, if I accidentally click the arrow, it's going to give me options from my numbers. We're just sticking with the first option here. Okay. Okay, so now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to select our directions again, and we're going to adjust our line spacing. So we're just moving through our new skills list just quite easily. Okay, so now we're on adjust line spacing. So I'm going to select my directions from preheat down to squares. Okay. And I'm going to go back to my line spacing tool. So again, I'm going to go back to my line spacing tool. And I want to add a space after a list item. Again, I want to add a space after a list item, just like that. Okay, so now you can see I have a space between the 1 and the 2, not between the lines of text itself, but just between direction number 1 and direction number 2. Okay. Moving through our new skills, the next thing that we want to do is align our text. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back up to the top to peanut butter brownies. And remember, there are different ways to select text. We can click and drag our mouse, or we can double click for just the word, or 3 times, which is a little tricky, to do the whole line. Okay, so I'm just going to select and drag. Okay. And now we want this to be in the center. So I'm going to go to my alignment, and you can see when I hover, it says left, center, right, and justified, which means it goes from one margin to the next, left to right. Okay, we want center, so I'm going to go ahead and center align this. While my peanut butter brownies is still highlighted. Okay, if it accidentally got unhighlighted, I can just click and drag my mouse again, but we're not done with this title yet. Okay, so we've aligned the text, and now what we're going to do is we're going to bold it. So I'm going to go up to my bold, my letter B, and we want to change the size of the text to 18. So I'm going to click and go down to 18. Okay, so now it's center aligned, it's bold, and it's 18. Okay, so now we also want to bold ingredients, so double click and bold. And we want to bold directions, so double click and bold. Okay. Now the last thing on our, or the second to the last thing on our list, is to use the word count. So we want to find out the number of words in our document. And when will this come in handy? Well, when you're in college, a lot of times what professors will say, and sometimes this even happens in high school, the teacher will say that you have to write a 1,000 word essay, right? And so it's important for you to know how many words are in your document so that you know that you are meeting the criteria that you are asked to meet. Okay, so that's why it's important for you to know how to use word count. So what you're going to do is we're going to go to the tools bar here, and I can get rid of this one, so I'm going to uncheck that. I'm going to go to the tools list, and I'm going to select word count. Okay, and it will tell me how many words I have. All right. Now, we have the number of pages. Obviously, it's just one. There are 117 words. Okay. We have 672 characters, and then we have characters without the spaces. So characters are the individual letters and their spaces and periods and exclamation points, things like that. Characters excluding spaces are just the letters. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'd like for you to first take a screen capture of this. So I'm going to do that myself. So Command 4. And I'm going to take a screen capture of this. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and click, when I'm done with my screen capture, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Okay. Now what I want to do is I'm going to do 2 things. All right. First of all, I'm going to use that word count, right? So the first thing that I want to do is on the last direction. Okay. So after the period, after the word squares, I'm going to hit return. Okay. Now I still have a direction there, so I want to delete that. And actually, when I read this, we should have more than that many directions. So I'm going to go up to here. And you know what? We're going to, after the word pan, go in front of the letter I and hit return. There's another direction. And then we have, what else? In a medium bowl, we have preheat grease in a medium bowl. Okay. And then right here before the word cool. So we have 4 steps now, all right, which is fine. So whenever we want to add in our numbers, we can do that. But I'm going to go ahead and hit, now I'm going to return back to my last step for this, right? So I'm going to hit return. And then I'm going to hit I'm going to go up to here where it says, I want to go back to my numbered list. And I want to unselect the numbered list. So now that number 5 went away. Okay, so let me show you again. So I hit return, and then I went back to my numbered list, and I got rid of that numbered list. Okay. We're going to type the words. It's going to look like this. Word count. Okay. And we had 117 words. Okay. And I want this to be on the other side of the document. So I'm going to use that right align. All right. So let me show you again. Show that step one more time. So I'm going to go to the last direction, the end of the last direction, and hit return. I'm going to uncheck my numbered list to get rid of the 5. And I'm going to type, lots of activity over here in the North House. I'm going to type word count, and I had 117 words, and then I want it to be right aligned. I'm going to go ahead and right align it. Okay, so now it's on the other side. Now I still have that screenshot. So what I want to do is I'm going to hit return 2 times, and then I'm going to go back to left align. Okay, I'm going to move this over just a little bit so I can see it, and I'm going to drag that into there. Okay, if it ends up on the next page, that's fine. Not a big deal. If you're like me and you don't like it, you want it to be on one single page, I'm just going to try and resize it so that it fits on one page. If I have to delete some lines there. There we go. Okay. So again, all I did was resize and delete the lines, the extra lines that I had added. So now it all fits in there. Okay. Just a little bit bigger. Nope. Didn't want to do that. Okay, so now my assignment is ready to turn in. I'm done with my screenshot, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that screenshot by putting it in the trash. Okay, and what we want to do, the last step before we do anything else, is we're going to change the font. Okay, so now I'm going to select all. So there are a couple of different ways that you can do this. You can click and drag. Or I know if you have a Mac, you can do Command A. Or if you have a Chromebook, you can do Control A. So we're going to select all, and we're going to change the font to something easy. Let's see what we have here. Georgia. So we're going to change our font to Georgia. Okay. So now our work is totally done and ready to submit. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go to File. I'm going to go to Download. And I'm going to go to PDF Document. It's going to calculate, get it all ready. And now I'm going to go back to my assignment. And I'm going to submit. Choose File. And I want to choose that PDF. And then I'm going to submit. And I have my balloons. I'm all exciting. And my activity is done.